I'm 28 now, but there are still nights when I wake up drenched in sweat because of what happened when I was 13. It was the first and only time my parents ever trusted my older brother and me to stay home alone overnight. We lived in a quiet suburb outside Asheville, North Carolina, in one of those neighborhoods where nothing ever seemed to happen, the kind of place where people left bicycles in their driveways and forgot to lock their back doors. At 13, I thought I was practically an adult. My brother, Connor, was 19 and had recently started community college. He was supposed to be watching me while our parents drove 3 hours away to attend a family friend's anniversary party and stay overnight. Before they left, Mom gave us the usual lecture. No friends over, lock every door, don't stay up too late. Connor nodded through all of it while texting someone. The second their car disappeared down the street, he grinned at me. "I'm heading out for a bit," he said. I looked up from the couch. "What? You're supposed to stay here." "It's just for a couple hours." He grabbed his keys from the kitchen counter. "If Mom asks, I was here the whole time." I hesitated. Connor had always been the cool older brother, the kind who let me borrow his games and occasionally snuck me junk food when our parents weren't looking. He tossed me $20, pizza money. That was enough to buy my silence. I watched him back out of the driveway around 7:30. At first, having the house to myself felt amazing. I ordered pepperoni pizza, spread out on the couch in the basement den, and spent the next few hours jumping between horror movies and Xbox. Our basement had always creeped me out a little. It wasn't unfinished or anything. It was fully renovated, with carpet, a huge sectional couch, and a big screen TV mounted on the wall. But the staircase leading upstairs curved sharply halfway up, so from the couch, you could only see the bottom 6 steps. The rest vanished into darkness. By around 10:30, I'd made the brilliant decision to watch some low-budget paranormal movie about a haunted farmhouse. Huge mistake. Halfway through, every little sound in the house started setting me off. The heater clicking on, the refrigerator humming upstairs, branches scraping against the windows. I kept glancing at the staircase, half expecting to see someone standing there. Eventually, I shut the movie off. The silence that followed was somehow worse. I bolted upstairs and locked myself in my bedroom. To distract myself, I fired up my Xbox and played online matches for a few hours. Around 1 in the morning, I finally logged off. That's when I heard the front door close downstairs. Relief washed over me. Connor was home. I checked my phone. No texts from him. I climbed into bed and waited to hear him head upstairs. Instead, I heard slow footsteps moving through the house. Not toward the staircase, not toward his room, just wandering. At first, I figured maybe he was grabbing food. Then a cabinet opened. A drawer slammed shut. Another heavy thud echoed from downstairs. I frowned. Connor was sure loud, but this felt different. The sounds were spaced too far apart, measured, intentional. I got out of bed and crept to my window. The driveway was empty. Connor's car wasn't there. Every muscle in my body went rigid. I stood frozen for several seconds, staring at the vacant driveway illuminated by the street lamp. Then I heard it. Footsteps. On the stairs. Slow. Deliberate. Coming up. My chest tightened so hard it hurt. I backed away from the window and looked around my room. There was no phone. Mine was charging downstairs. The house landline was in the kitchen. I was trapped. The footsteps reached the top of the stairs. Then silence. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. My bedroom doorknob rattled. I nearly screamed. The door was locked, but the cheap privacy lock could be opened from outside with anything thin enough. A coin, a fingernail. The rattling stopped. Then came the soft scrape of metal against the lock. Whoever was out there knew exactly how to open it. I wildly looked around my room for somewhere to hide. Under the bed was too obvious. The bathroom connected to my parents' room, too exposed. Then I spotted the crawl space closet. It was built low into the wall beside my dresser, mostly used for storing old winter clothes and boxes of Christmas decorations. I yanked it open and squeezed inside, pulling the small door shut behind me. The space was pitch black. Dust filled my nose. I pressed my hand over my mouth to keep myself from breathing too loudly. A second later, my bedroom door creaked open. Whoever it was stepped inside. The footsteps were heavier than Connor's, slower. I heard drawers opening, things being moved, my backpack unzipped, my desk chair scraping across the floor. For one horrible moment, the footsteps stopped directly in front of the crawl space. I stopped breathing. The silence stretched so long I thought my lungs might burst. Then the footsteps resumed. I heard something dragged across the carpet, a long scraping noise like furniture being shifted. I had no idea what they were doing. Minutes crawled by. Then the footsteps retreated. My bedroom door clicked shut, but I didn't move. I stayed crammed inside that crawl space, knees pressed to my chest, every muscle cramping. Time lost all meaning. I don't know how long I sat there. An hour, maybe 2. Then, sometime after 3, I heard shouting. "Ethan!" It was Connor. His voice was panicked. He was running through the house. "Ethan!" The second he saw me, his expression shifted from relief to confusion. "What the hell are you doing?" Before I could answer, I noticed the room around us. My mattress had been flipped. My dresser drawers dumped onto the floor. My gaming console was gone. My TV had been ripped off its stand. And scrolled across my bedroom wall with thick black marker were 4 words. "I know you saw me." Connor turned pale, and from somewhere downstairs, we both heard the unmistakable sound of the back door slowly creaking open. Connor and I froze. The sound of that back door creaking open drifted up through the house like something alive, long and slow, followed by a dull thud as it hit the wall behind it. For a second, neither of us moved. The message on my wall seemed to burn into my vision. "I know you saw me." Connor looked at me, his face drained of color. "What happened?" he whispered. I could barely speak. "There was someone here." The words came out shaky. "I heard them downstairs, then upstairs. They got into my room." Connor stared at the wreckage around us like his brain couldn't process it. The flipped mattress, the empty space where my TV had been, the black marker bleeding down the wall. And then that sound came again. A heavy footstep from downstairs. Whoever had opened that back door was still inside. Connor grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. "Closet," he hissed. We both dove into my bedroom closet, yanking the door shut just enough to leave a tiny crack. My entire body was shaking. Connor was breathing hard beside me. I'd never seen him scared before, not once. That terrified me more than anything. The footsteps moved slowly through the first floor, deliberate, unhurried, like whoever it was knew we were trapped. The old hardwood downstairs groaned with every step. Then silence. The kind of silence that presses against your ears until every tiny sound feels magnified. Connor slowly pulled out his phone. No signal. Our neighborhood had spotty reception at the best of times, and my room was at the far back corner of the house. He cursed under his breath. Then we heard it. The staircase. One creak, then another. Someone was coming up. My hand instinctively grabbed Connor's sleeve. The footsteps climbed higher, slowly, the same pace I'd heard hours earlier. Step, step, step. Then they stopped right outside my bedroom. The door creaked open. Through the crack in the closet door, I could see part of the room. Moonlight spilled through my window. At first, I saw nothing. Then a figure stepped into view. Tall, broad-shouldered, dressed entirely in black. Their face was hidden beneath a knit cap and some kind of dark cloth mask. They stood perfectly still, scanning the room. I clamped my hand over my mouth to keep from making a sound. The intruder moved toward my overturned mattress, then towards the crawl space. They crouched beside it, examining it. My stomach dropped. They knew someone had been hiding there. The figure slowly stood, then turned towards the closet. Every nerve in my body locked up. They took one step closer, then another. Connor's breathing became sharp and shallow. The doorknob began to turn, and suddenly headlights swept across my bedroom window, a car pulling into the driveway. The intruder froze. For half a second, no one moved. Then the figure bolted. They sprinted from my room. Connor shoved open the closet door. "Dad!" We exploded into motion, racing after them. The intruder was already flying down the stairs. The front door burst open just as our parents stepped inside. The masked figure slammed directly into my father, knocking him backward into the entryway table. My mom screamed. Dad hit the floor hard, but managed to grab the intruder's jacket. For a split second, it looked like he had them. Then the person twisted violently, slipping free of the jacket entirely. They darted out the open front door and vanished into the darkness. Dad scrambled up and chased after them barefoot. Connor and I reached the stairs just as Mom grabbed us. "Stay here," her voice cracked with panic. Dad was gone for maybe 2 minutes. It felt like 20. When he came back, breathing hard, his feet muddy and bleeding from running across the gravel, he was alone. "He got through the woods," he said. The police arrived less than 10 minutes later. 2 cruisers at first, then a third. They searched the neighborhood, brought in a canine unit, and combed the woods behind our property until sunrise. They found nothing. Inside the house, officers documented everything. Electronics had been stacked near the back door, ready to be taken. Drawers throughout the house had been searched. Cash from my dad's office was gone. Jewelry from my parents' room, too. Whoever it was had been inside for hours. The officer assigned to interview me asked if I'd seen the intruder's face. I shook my head. Then I told him about hearing the front door earlier, about the footsteps, about hiding in the crawl space, and about the message on my wall. He frowned. "What do you mean you saw me?" "I don't know," I said. "I never saw anyone." The officer exchanged a look with his partner. Then he asked something I'll never forget. "Earlier tonight, did you look outside, through any windows?" And that's when it hit me. Before hiding, I'd stood at my bedroom window checking for Connor's car. The driveway was empty, but I'd only looked towards the street. Our backyard was hidden in darkness. The officer nodded grimly. He was probably outside watching the house. The realization made me feel sick. He had seen me at the window, seen that I was alone, seen exactly where my room was, and then he'd come inside. The investigation lasted weeks. Eventually, police discovered the intruder entered through the basement window after cutting the screen. There were fingerprints on my TV stand, but they didn't match anyone in the system. The case went cold. Life moved on. Connor got destroyed by our parents. He lost his car privileges for 6 months and had to pay for replacing my console. But honestly, none of that mattered to me. What stayed with me was the uncertainty, not knowing who had been standing in my room, not knowing how long they'd watched me from outside, not knowing what would have happened if my parents had come home 10 minutes later. We moved out of that house the following summer. I never went back, but a few years ago when I was home from college, I drove past it. The family living there had renovated the exterior, fresh paint, new windows, different landscaping. It barely looked like the same place. As I slowed near the driveway, I noticed something. A figure standing in the second floor window, watching the street, watching me. I told myself it was just one of the new homeowners, probably wondering why some stranger is staring at their house. But as I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. The figure was still there, completely motionless. And even from that distance, I could have sworn they raised one hand and slowly tapped the glass 3 times. I used to think the worst part of driving for apps at night was drunk passengers and bad tips. I was wrong. My name's Ryan. I was 23 when this happened, fresh out of college with a useless communications degree and a lot of free time I didn't know what to do with. So I drove. Mostly Uber, sometimes delivery. Whatever kept the fuel tank from hitting empty. Weekend nights were the best money. Friday through Sunday, 9 p.m. to around 3 a.m. The city turned into a different world after midnight. People spilling out of bars, laughing too loud, arguing in parking lots, vomiting into gutters like it was part of the nightlife experience. That night started normal enough. I picked up a couple of short rides downtown. Nothing unusual. A group of girls heading to a club, a guy arguing with his girlfriend in the back seat. Standard stuff. Around 1:20 a.m., I got a long-distance ride request. Pick up downtown, drop off well outside the city, past the last strip of gas stations and fast food places, into a stretch of road I barely ever drove. I almost declined it. The payout was too good. Way too good for a simple ride. That should have been my first warning, but I accept it. The passenger was a young woman, maybe early 20s. Quiet, hood pulled up. She got into the back seat without saying much, just gave a small nod when I confirmed her name. "Everything good?" I asked. She hesitated, then said, "Just drive." That was it. No destination talk, no small conversation, just silence. At first, I didn't mind. I put on low music and drove. The city lights slowly thinned out behind us. Street lights became spaced farther apart. Then came the long stretch of highway leading out of town. About 20 minutes in, I checked my rearview mirror. She hadn't moved. Still sitting upright, still facing forward. But something felt off. Not her behavior exactly, just the stillness. Like she wasn't relaxed, more like she was waiting. We crossed the city limits sign around 2:05 a.m. After that, it was just highway and darkness. No cars behind us, no headlights ahead. Only my car and the road disappearing into black. That's when her phone screen lit up in the back seat. For the first time since she got in, I saw her hands move. She typed something quickly, then put the phone down. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. A message from the ride app. "Do not take the next exit." I frowned. I glanced back. She was still looking forward, not at me, not at anything in particular, just staring. I cleared my throat. "Sorry, what was that?" No answer. I looked at the GPS. The next exit was coming up in about 2 miles. The route didn't show anything unusual, just a long detour through rural roadways. Then another message popped up on my phone. "If you exit, do not stop the car." My grip tightened on the wheel. Now I was alert. "Hey," I said again, firmer this time. "Are you okay back there?" Silence. No movement. No response. I checked the rearview mirror again, and that's when I noticed something else. There was no reflection of her face, just the hood, just darkness underneath. I blinked, looked again. She was there, but something about the mirror felt wrong, like I wasn't seeing her clearly through it. The exit signs grew closer. 1 mile, half a mile. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it wasn't a message, it was a call. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. A man's voice came through, low and controlled. "Do not take the exit," he said. I nearly swerved. Who is this? No answer to my question, only repetition. "Do not take the exit." I glanced back again. The passenger hadn't moved, but now I noticed something else. Her hand was gripping the seat in front of her, hard, knuckles pale, like she was bracing for something. The exit sign was right there. I slowed slightly, and that's when everything changed. A car appeared behind us. No headlights at first, just a shape in the dark. Then the lights flashed on, bright, intense, following too closely, way too closely. The passenger finally spoke. Not to me, not clearly, just a whisper. "Don't slow down." My chest tightened. "What's going on?" I asked again. This time she responded, still not looking at me. "They're waiting for you to stop." I felt my stomach drop. The car behind us didn't pass, didn't slow, just stayed glued to my bumper. The exit was seconds away now, and I had no idea what I was supposed to do. The exit ramp came up fast, too fast. My mind was split in two directions. One part of me wanted to floor it and stay on the highway. The other part was screaming that something behind me was wrong and staying on the main road might not be any safer. The car behind me didn't move, still glued to my bumper. No attempt to pass, no hesitation, just pressure, like it was pushing me forward. The passengers spoke again, quieter this time. "If you stop, they'll take both of us." I glanced in the mirror. Still no clear reflection of her face, just the hood, shadows, and tension. "What do you mean, they?" I asked. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she said, "Stay above 50. Don't slow down until I tell you." That should have been insane enough for me to pull over immediately and end the ride, but the car behind me made that impossible. Every time I eased off the gas even slightly, it matched my speed exactly, perfectly, almost like it was measuring me. We passed the exit ramp. I stayed on the highway. The car behind us didn't. It followed. The road ahead stretched into darkness again, but now it felt tighter, like the space around us had shrunk. After a few minutes of silence, my passenger finally moved for the first time since getting in. She leaned forward slightly. "Take the next service road," she said. "There's a turnoff in a mile. No GPS." I checked the map. There was a service road, but it wasn't marked clearly, just a faint line breaking off the highway toward a wooded area. "I'm not leaving the highway," I said. She finally looked up, not at me fully, but toward the mirror, and I saw her face for the first time. She looked exhausted, not scared in a dramatic way, more like someone who had been repeating the same situation too many times. "You already are," she said. The car behind us flashed its high beams once, then twice. A pattern, not random. My phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. This time, a single message. "She is not supposed to leave that road." My throat went dry. I looked back at her. "Who are they?" I asked. She didn't hesitate this time. "People who track rides that go this far out at night. They wait for drivers who don't know the route." I didn't like any of that sentence, not even a little. We were approaching the service road now. Dark turnoff, barely visible unless you were looking for it. The car behind us stayed close, too close, like it knew exactly what I was thinking. Then she said something that made everything worse. "If you take that turnoff, they'll lose us. If you don't, they'll box us in at the next checkpoint." "Checkpoint?" I repeated. She nodded once. "They use construction vehicles, fake road work, happens farther up." I looked ahead, and sure enough, in the distance, I saw flashing orange lights, slowly becoming visible. Roadwork, blocking lanes. My pulse spiked. The highway narrowed ahead. The car behind us surged slightly forward, forcing me closer to the service road whether I wanted to or not. She said it again, sharper this time. "Turn now." I made the decision in half a second. I cut the wheel. We dropped off the highway into darkness. The road immediately changed. Narrower, uneven, surrounded by trees that swallowed the headlights. The moment I turned, the car behind us didn't follow right away. It hesitated. That hesitation told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't random anymore. This was controlled. We drove deeper into the service road. No GPS, no streetlights, just forest. Then my passenger finally leaned back in her seat and exhaled. "We lost them," she said. But she didn't sound relieved. She sounded uncertain, like it only worked for now. I slowed slightly. "Okay," I said. "Now you need to tell me what's going on because none of this makes sense." She nodded. "I will." But before she could continue, my headlights caught something ahead. A parked vehicle, right in the middle of the road, blocking it. And it wasn't alone. Two more shapes appeared behind it, faint at first, then clearer as we got closer. Vehicles, waiting. The passenger's voice dropped. They figured out the turnoff. And behind us, far back on the service road, I saw headlights appear again. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. We were trapped between both sides of the road, and for the first time since this started, she said something that made my stomach drop completely. "I told you not to accept rides this far out at night."